Playing politics with the right to vote, I'm Brian Lilley with TheRebel.media. Did you hear about poor Donald Sutherland writing an op-ed in the Globe and Mail about how he's being deprived of his right to vote as a Canadian citizen? I have a message for you, Mr. Sutherland. Go to hell. You haven't lived in Canada, really, since 1957, when you left to go to the United Kingdom. From there, you moved to the United States. Yes, I know you've got a nice little cottage in the eastern townships of Quebec, and you pop in now and again, sometimes with your celebrity friends. But let's face it, you haven't lived in Canada in a long, long time. Sure, you may have popped in for the odd movie as well, but that doesn't make you a resident of Canada. And when it comes to elections, what we're doing is voting for our local representative. Who would you vote to represent you? I'm not asking what party, I'm just asking what district would you vote in? I'm assuming that you live somewhere near Hollywood most of the time. I could be wrong on that, but it is the United States that you live in. Is there a representative in the Canadian Parliament for the United States of America? No, there isn't, because that's not how our system works. My mother left Britain in 1968. She doesn't vote and hasn't voted in their elections since she left. She left the country. She moved away. She chose another country, Canada, as her home, and she votes in the elections here. Why do you think that because you left in 1957 but refused to take out citizenship anywhere else, that you should be allowed to have a say in how this country runs our affairs? Now, I know in your op-ed to the Globe and Mail that you whine about how this is Big Stephen Harper's fault. Let me tell you the truth, Mr. Sutherland. It's been this way since 1993. Bill C-114 passed in April of 1993. So this isn't a Stephen Harper thing, and it was on the books all through the Chrétien liberal years, all through the Paul Martin liberal years. It was only challenged a few years ago, and one court struck it down. Another court upheld it. You leave the country for more than 5 years, tough. Guess what? That's the way it should be. It's not as if you just went away for a little while and took a job. It's not as if you're on a posting from the army or the government. And guess what? If you want to vote, you can. Move back to Canada. Make this your place of permanent residency. We are in the middle of this huge debate about Mike Duffy and the Senate spending scandal. And was Mike Duffy eligible to be a senator for PEI? He's from PEI. He's always lived in Canada. He's had a cottage in PEI forever. But we're being told that because he didn't spend all his time there, because he lived in Ottawa so long, he's ineligible to be a senator for PEI. Constitution's actually silent on it, but that's another matter. So we're going to have an argument about Mike Duffy being in the Senate for Prince Edward Island and whether that's legal or should he go to jail for that. But you living in the United States since the 1960s, well, you should just be allowed to vote because you're Canadian. It doesn't make any sense. Look, it's simple. You want to vote, move back. You want to have a say, actually be invested in the community you want to have a say in. A couple of years ago, we had a big evacuation of Canadian citizens from Lebanon. There were thousands, we were told. It was an actual cruise ship rented to help evacuate all the Canadians. Do you know that most of them went back within weeks? These aren't people that actually live in Canada. They hold Canadian passports out of convenience, and they live in other parts of the world. Lebanon is not the only place that this happens. Should those people have a say? Should they be allowed to vote just because they're citizens with no connection to this country, with no ties, with no roots put down? You had roots in this country a long time ago. You have let them wither and die. I'm not so sure that just because you were born in Canada and left in the 1950s, that makes you eligible to vote. Move back to Georgeville. Move back to the eastern townships. Make that your permanent residence, and then cast your vote in Quebec. Otherwise, Mr. Sutherland, quit your whining and using the fact that this law's been on the books forever as an excuse to attack Stephen Harper and push for your own left-wing politics. You typical Weasley champagne socialist.